I wanted to take just a few minutes and talk about the incredible legacy of American conductor and composer Michael Tilson Thomas, who recently died from glioblastoma at the age of 81. I can't imagine what the final season of his life must have been like, not just dealing with that horrible disease, but also dealing with the passing of his husband, who passed just 2 months before him. They had been lifelong friends and they met in elementary school. His orchestral legacy will forever be intertwined with that of his mentor, Leonard Bernstein, who once remarked, "He reminds me of me," and I'd say that's probably about the highest compliment you'd ever get out of Lenny. To me, Michael's greatest talents lay in how he counterbalanced that tenuous relationship between accuracy and musicality. He was certainly a perfectionist, very fussy in his rehearsals, but in a very positive way. Unlike most conductors who make their way to the very top echelon of their field, Michael was decidedly individualistic about both the goals that he wanted to accomplish and the repertoire that fell under his baton. Although he could perform the classic German-Austrian schools well, he was a champion of American music and even composers who otherwise didn't get that much attention. If he believed in their work, he'd program it. And his recordings of Gershwin, Bernstein, Piston, Ruggles, Ives in particular, are some of the very best. I was fortunate enough to see him conduct a year or two ago at the LA Philharmonic when he took on an Ives symphony, and it was just sublimely gorgeous, well executed, well balanced, and so beautifully musical. One of my favorite performances of his is a bit of a surprise. It's one of the last chapters in the Bernstein legacy. At the end of Bernstein's life, he decided he wanted to revisit his major works, like West Side Story and Candide, and produce the definitive recordings of them. He did succeed with West Side Story and Candide, but he died before he could get to the next one, which was On the Town. And Michael was the one to conduct that, and it's an absolutely amazing, hilarious, fun performance of that work. I'll also add that his interpretations of composers like Ravel and Debussy were absolutely amazing. I haven't even yet mentioned his own compositions, which, while fewer in number, are deep and profound works that reflect the incredible variety of his experience. In 1987, he founded the New World Symphony in Florida, which is an academy for gifted young orchestral musicians, and also the 25 years he spent with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra, where he championed the works of numerous lesser-known composers and programmed really interesting repertoire for that city and raised up that symphony orchestra to be one of the finest in the country. I already mentioned how much of a champion he was of American composers and American music. He was also an early champion of one of my favorite living composers, John Adams. And I'm planning to sit down with some Adams scores on this channel coming up really soon. In short, he was his own man. He did what he wanted to do. And that's pretty admirable in light of how much he accomplished through his entire life. I'm a little sad I'll never get to share with him the work that I'm currently working on right now, which is my tribute to Leonard Bernstein and George Gershwin, entitled Lenny and George Walk Into a Bar, which is scheduled for release later this year. And I'm sure that would have brought a smile to his face to see two of his greatest influences personified in a new work. So rest in peace, Michael Tilson Thomas, an amazing inspiration and an icon in American music.